What's up, guys? AB Investments back with you. If you didn't watch that live video, this is like a smaller version of it, kind of like summarizing it. I know it's kind of contradicting, but it is what it is. This is more important. So, if you remember, first of all, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Again, uh, this is just me speaking my thoughts and entertainment purposes. Who knows? Maybe your comments and can spread more thoughts here and there, and until we all can get a better understanding of what's happening. So yeah, please guys subscribe and like the channel. Let's get those algorithms up so that we can get more people on board. So last week, if you guys watched some of the older videos, you remember what you know I was hypothesizing, more like predicting what could happen this week. And as you can see, is happening. Um, a lot to talk about. A lot. You remember when I was saying, how do you know if this is the squeeze or not? If the gamma squeeze and whatnot. And if you watched, then you would know that I was mentioning that you could tell from the percentages that is going up by. So as you can see, first Monday, they took out most of their profits. Why? Because you saw the whole market yesterday was majority of it down. Not too much, but it was down. Almost just across all the meme stocks. And while that was happening, guess what was pumping? The cryptos. And yeah, the media started spinning it off. Oh, Bitcoin over 45,000 again. And guess what? What did I say? It will be short lived. And yes, it did drop. Now it's not a huge drop, and that has a reasoning for it, and the reason is because they don't want this whole thing. It's not that they don't want this whole thing is just being managed, just like with the stock. It all correlates together. Take profits from here, dump here, pump up from here, take profits, dump this, and then pump this again, and keep collecting profits and kind of swing around and keep making money across both sectors. So, um, one thing that I was saying that personally I believe, that how do I know or gauge when the real price movements, or at least gamma squeezing, or the squeeze is upon us, is when you start seeing crazy price action. And what I mean by that is like when you start seeing 30, 50, 60, 70% on the move up. That right there is an actual price action, and it has to go on the verge of like 2 or 3 days back to back. There's no such thing when it comes to the squeeze. Like, this is different than the rest of the stock market. And here's why I say this: because in the regular stock market, yes, maybe 1 day, 2 day, uh, 3 day max, and then you're gonna start seeing the breathing pattern of, like, when they say, oh, okay, it's consolidated now, people are collecting profits, because it's a regular play. um, but when it's and it's like a pump, and anything it goes up must come down. But in a squeeze play, then it's not going to be the same elements do not apply. And what do I mean by that? As in, right now we're around the 14, 15, $16 levels, and to go back to the 40, 50, and $60 levels, you're talking about, you need 300-400% on the upside. Now, it could happen, yeah, in 1 day. Why not? We've seen some go up 800 and 1,000%, some unknown stocks, but there were obviously perfect pump and dump schemes, and movements. But in this one, you're gonna need like it's a 9%, 10% move is not a gamma squeeze, because that's barely $1.20, $1.50 max movement, maybe $2 up movement, and that's not a gamma squeeze. That's not covering. Again, when I said the word like covering, results in crazy price actions, like 30, 40, 50% and higher, much higher than that even. This is just nothing but options. It has options written all over it. They make calls and they buy into the stock. They pump up the stock to the certain levels that they see. I don't know what they are. No one knows except them. And then when they reach their levels, they start collecting. Similar today to the $15.50 on AMC specifically strike prices. They were pumping them to that price, and then they dump. Like I've seen, like there was like about 25,000 contracts somewhere in that area, and once I looked at them again, like more, like literally like just 30 minutes later, I saw that they were down to 20,000. So there was about somewhere around the 4 or 5,000 contracts that were just taken off. Clearly not exercised, because if they were exercised, then you would see the continuance of the movement. So it's just profit collecting. And the reason why the cryptos are not dumping really hard is because they just took enough to pump this enough. And then when they collect from there, they'll most likely pump this again. Until tomorrow happens. And it's going to be interesting to see what Gensler is going to say. I mean, if he says something along the lines that meme stocks, there's nothing wrong, like what the GameStop report was, similar to that, like there's no foul doing or whatever, it's just FOMO, nothing was covered, then we are in for a longer, obviously, continuance. I mean, we're just going to go forward, and the price is going to drop on that news, and that means they're spending it until a later date, whatever that day is, who knows. But if he comes out and says that that's it, everything about the transparency is 100% getting implemented as we speak, or gives us a set date, if not yet, and then touches on the whole dark pool thing, and then says what he's gonna do with it, whether he's like if he says like something really bullish, like, and says like dark pool transactions and are going to be monitored fully by the SEC completely. I mean, they should be by law already, but if he says something different that makes things different, then that will fall along the lines of what we're expecting. And then that's when you're going to see tomorrow, if we see 30, 25, 30, 40% on the move up. Me personally, again, this is just me speaking my thoughts. I'll wait for Thursday to see if there's any other news that comes out after, or something different. Because again, they could just trap something, people in, and they see that price action. I mean, again, nothing is safe with these guys. So if on Thursday as well I see another 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% move up, then that's when I know it's bullish, and I'll probably go into action personally. Now, when you calculate this, 30% tomorrow, 20, 50% tomorrow, and then another 50% day after, you're talking about we're just back to that $28, $30 level. So it's still very, very, very cheap. So but at that point, I would have kind of secured, or at least I'm walking in on a much more strong position, looking forward, that we, like, timing wise, I perfect timing it, that way I'm not getting played, oh, bullish news, that very next day something else comes out that's not bearish, and then it dumps, and then you lose. Again, this is mainly for the people who are like kind of trying to time this stuff. This is just for me. If I'm trying to time it, this is the way I time it, by seeing movements like that. But when I see 9-10%, no, that's just options written all over it, and I'm not going to be a part of that, because you're talking about at least 90-95% you're going to be on the losing end, unless, and this has a video of its own, one day maybe we can make, you're playing daily options, and the way that, and you have to have like so much understanding, because at that point you're walking in to the unknown, and you're gonna get burned here and there every once in a while, but you got to have a certain strategy so that you can minimize your exposure to, on a daily basis, to either crazy losses, or who knows, maybe crazy wins. So again, that's just a different video for itself on its own. So again, tomorrow is the biggest day we can possibly think of until now, up to date. Tomorrow is the most important date. It's important to see what he's going to say. Um, Plus, I don't know what's going to come out of this whole Jerome Powell trading in the uh, the frozen time, and not the blacklisted time, and the black event. And then uh, from my experience, nothing ever happens to you know those big wigs. So therefore, they rushed to try to vote him into the Senate by February 15th. Now it's kind of quick, but again, that doesn't relate to us at this point in time, because at the end of the day, there's nothing that we can do to change anything. You know, uh, it is what it is. It's in the hands of the government. Been in the hands of the government, and when it's time, it's time. We're just talking narratives of what could and what could not happen, and who knows how it will work out. But these are just the things. It's not just going to go 1,000% in one day. Who knows? Might, but never say never, like Brady said. But it's still like it's highly unlikely that something like that would happen. So the way that you gauge that, and the reason why it's highly unlikable, because you're talking about that defeats the purpose of their narrative, shaking out the paper hands. Because if it just goes up 1,000%, 2,000% in one day, then it just makes it so much easier for paper hands to be, to get off the hook. I mean, there's a lot of people that I personally know of that are really set on the fact that they walked in at 30 or at 40, and they're like, I just want to get out when I get my money back. Again, I'm not here trying to influence anybody's decisions or change them or anything. No, everybody's got their own agenda. So therefore, I've spoken in my previous videos what my agendas are. So it is what it is. Things are gonna happen the way that they're gonna happen. So on the next video, guys, I'm gonna talk about a little more specifically about what these narratives are gonna be like. Okay, so much love. Look out for the next one.